Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next live stream. Welcome to my live stream. Wow, man, I am all over the place. How is everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Just want to say thank you again for helping me hit 1,000 subscribers. We're already at 1090 at this point. We're a pretty good ways on our way to 2,000. Like we're making real progress, and it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you guys so much for that. Uh, yeah, shaky desk. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Welcome in, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Hello there, Snagwolf. Great having you here. Man, I'm struggling to speak. Anywho, this is the sixth of our 7 live streams that we are going to be doing for 1,000 subscribers. The next one will be next week. I know in the video I said I'd do it in 2 weeks and take next week off, but I'm just going to do it next week. There's no reason not to. So, yeah, that's the plan. We'll do our final stream of this next week. Slyther, what's up? Hey, Mitch, how are you? I'm good. How are you, Slyther? But yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna get a few shorts done after the live stream. I was thinking of doing it beforehand, but didn't have time. So I'll get a few shorts done once the live stream's over. So yeah, I was wanting to do it beforehand because I thought, oh man, let's knock some shorts out. Then maybe if they go big, like that'll lure people into the live stream. But it didn't happen. So it is what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna get a few more of those out here in a little bit. And next video that I'll be dropping, I've been working on it in my Discord. Is I'm gonna do a video on a speed build. So that's something I'm working on, trying to figure out exactly how to pull it all together. If you're curious on any of that, there's my info on my Discord and my Twitch. If anybody wants to jump in on that, you are more than welcome. Did you get a chance to look up the bone creature template? I did not. I keep forgetting. Holy crap. Do I have a way to do that on here? Kind of, but it'd be a real problem to try and show it live. Yeah. I don't have my normal software, unfortunately, which makes things a little bit of a trick. That and the software that I'm using to record currently isn't the best. My normal streaming software that I use for Twitch, I can't use on YouTube. You need the paid version to do it on both. So yeah, even if you're not like dual streaming. So unfortunately, I can't do the same stream quality that I do for my Twitch stream. I really wish I could, but yeah, it's not an option, unfortunately. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to look that up. So I will hope, let's see. You keep asking, so I keep forgetting. Let's do it on here. I don't know if I can have a way to show it or not, but let me pull up the bone creature template because you keep asking about it, and I feel bad that I keep forgetting. D&D 3.5 bone creature template. All right. Bone creature template, Forgotten Realms help. Creating a bone creature. Any non-undead corporal creature. Bone creature increased it to 12 HD speed. Winged bone creatures retain the ability to fly. Now, however, the flight is magical as the fly spell. That's kind of cool. AC. Okay. And their natural armor changes, attacks, damage. Okay. Doesn't seem all that interesting. I'm not used to this site. Might have been at the wrong site, to be honest. Nope. I don't know. Not sure. Looked it up just now. If I was on the right side, it was on like Forgotten site, but that was the only thing I found that seemed to be even remotely correct. Though it's not the site I usually use to get 3.5 sources, so I'm not sure. From what I saw, it didn't look that impressive. It seemed like a kind of meh template. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was cool that flight creatures still could keep a flight speed. It just turned to magical flight. So that was interesting, which makes sense. I mean, there's no way that a skeleton can fly. Like you need, surface area to create the updraft and all that fun stuff. Which is why skeletal creatures typically can't fly, and zombies usually do retain their flight speeds for logical reasons. The game is heavily based in real world logic, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that about it. But yeah, I tried looking it up just now. I don't know. I don't know if I was on the right side or not. It's the Forgotten Realm side. It was, I don't know. It was okay. It wasn't the greatest thing. I did get a couple more books. So basically, my birthday's coming up. So here it's going to be between now and the next stream. So I got all the weather books. So or the environment books. I got Stormrack, I got Frostburn, I got Sandstorm. So that was pretty cool getting all those books. Haven't looked through them too much, but I have them. They're all. Actually, I grabbed them all to show off on stream if it came up. Oh man, that's heavy to reach that like that. Also, 3 books is relatively heavy. But yeah, got a Stormrack and Sandstorm, and of course Frostburn. So yeah, got some books. I haven't looked through them too much, but definitely ones I was looking forward to getting. Stormrick has got my walrus pet. Nice. The walrus pet. That's way on the bottom. Every time I do that, my mic's not the best for dealing with percussion sounds like that. Like I don't hear anything, but I know that you guys do from that. But yeah, there's some cool stuff in Stormrack. I'm not sure where the walrus pet is in there, but yeah, some cool books. Haven't looked through them too much yet, just a little bit, but I know there's some good stuff in there. Yeah, some of so I've got all the collection books that I was working on complete, so that's kind of cool. Now I just need to kind of fill in, a bunch of the random stuff, and this just makes it easier for me to finish making videos, because once I finish complete, then I can move on to the complete series. Then I can move on to these because I have all the complete books, and then once I finish those, then I can do the good and evil stuff. Book of Exalted Deeds, Book of Vile Darkness, the Fiendish Codexes, and then from there we'll see what happens. But yeah, that is the plan going forward. Figuring all that out. So yeah, anybody got any questions about Dungeons and Dragons? If you do, I'm more than happy to answer them. One thing that I've been working on, I am planning on making more videos. The next video that I'm going to be making and also releasing is going to be a build video, and it's going to be a speed build. So I'm working on it. I've got some ideas. I'm probably going to make it a Gish, probably like a monk or scout Gish with a wizard. And I'm thinking probably at least 1 level of Blade Dancer, maybe more, hard to say, as well as some levels of Swift Blade, maybe throw in some other prestige classes. One that I've looked at a little bit was, what was it? Enlightened Fist. That one seems like it could be decent. There's some other prestige classes I'm looking at as well. Just trying to make something that is strong, that's really fast, but is also strong and has ways of really utilizing the speed. I maybe grab some maneuvers that utilize it well. I don't know. There's still a lot that I got to figure out with this build. If you want to help, you're free to help in comments now or in chat now. Excuse me. Or you could also, let me know in Discord. I got the link that I posted fairly recently. Hopefully you guys are all able to see that. So if you want to join the Discord and check that out, you're more than welcome to. Just make sure you get your roles, because that's in the Dungeons and Dragons section. I use Discord for both Dungeons and Dragons as well as my Twitch, which isn't really Dungeons and Dragons. It's more Nintendo and just general RPG. So because those are generally the games I tend to like. So yeah. Although I am thinking of doing some Dungeons and Dragons streams at some point. It's just a harder game to stream because you need friends for that, and the few friends that I have don't really want to be on camera. So, which is understandable. Like, a lot of people don't want to just be on camera. Makes sense. So yeah, that's what I've got planned going forward. Trying to figure out what to do with that build. I tried. Still like the idea of a centaur, even though it doesn't work. It is cool, and I did. So I was playing with my group last night, and I did run it by them. And one thing that they were thinking on centaur was there is a feat that lets it lets you continue a charge if you're mounted with a lance, and basically you can continue the charge with cleave. So you can use cleave and great cleave in order to just keep attacking more and more stuff with the charge, which, assuming you drop stuff, which could be really nice. And if you have pounce, you could even potentially, attack start your charge, hit one thing, and then continue moving and doing multiple attacks throughout the charge. Could be a thing. If you don't drop the guy, use another attack on him, and then if that works, then continue that attack going forward until you run out of attacks, at which point maybe just continue the charge without, because you're going to have spring attack with this build. So yeah, normally I don't recommend spring attack, but this build kind of requires it, so it is what it is. But yeah, centaur could be decent. You could get some real speed going with that. Yeah, you could easily get like 100-foot base speed plus a bunch of bonuses. So yeah, you could get pretty dang fast with it. So yeah, that's definitely an option. And I was thinking some nice Gish stuff could be useful. Hard to say, but yeah, could be a pretty decent prestige class, or a pretty decent build. So yeah, I don't know, could be fun, but I don't really know. Elf is still an idea. If I was going to go centaur, I'd probably make it a feral template. I don't know. If anyone's got ideas, feel free to shoot them at me. If anyone wants to just talk about anything else with D&D, feel free to let me know too. We don't need to just talk about my build for my next video, but we can. Like, I need to figure out what to do with it. I've been struggling with it for the last few days now. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Going to make some more feats. It's going to be forever before I actually get caught up on feats, which is good because, I have content for years with this. I mean, the player's handbook alone is going to take me over half a year to get through it, 1 feat a day. So yeah, that's going to last a good while. With all the books that I have, I probably have, at least 5 years worth of content. So that's kind of nice. So yeah, that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. Although I guess there are a lot of like duplicate feats between books. Like, I know what are some feats that I know are in multiple books and are basically the same thing. Like what are some of them? I'm trying to remember. Practice caster, that's one. That's, I believe, in both complete mage as well as I don't know if it's in mage, but I know it's in complete divine and complete arcane. Maybe it's in mage too, but I know it's in multiple different books. So there are a few feats that do appear in multiple books and are basically the exact same thing in them. It's just they apply to multiple different things. So that's a thing. I know not mage, arcane and divine have some overlap. So that's just a thing that exists. But yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything they want to talk about, or any ideas for the channel, or for this build that I was working on, or really anything, let me know. Like, this live stream, it's for you guys. This is your guys' chance to talk to me and ask me questions, and figure out, it's our chance to hang out. We have, another hour and 45 minutes on the stream, and then we only got one more stream after this in next week. And then after that, no more live streams for a while, not until I hit 2K, which honestly, we're getting there. We're getting there pretty quick, which is really awesome. I'm really happy with how fast the channel's been growing lately. It's really, really cool. And it really means a lot to me how you guys have helped me get there. So, yeah. Huh. But, yeah, my group, we've been doing something fun. Uh, we started a tower defense. We're playing as just a group of random monsters, and we built a tower to protect some crystals. Like, we were tasked with defending some crystals, and we were given money to build a tower, and we did, and we came up with a pretty good design. Although I did a lot of the actual design. Like, I built all the walls, but a lot of the other guys helped with a lot of stuff. And yeah, I love tower defense games, and D&D actually weirdly works with it really well. I was thinking of Trapsmith Prestige class, Prestige to get haste. That is a good one. Then share with my animals with Beastmaster. Not sure how else to get haste with the Prestige class. Yeah, I mean, you could always just do 5. Get to level 5. That also works, and it's a little bit tricky with that because it does require that all your 3rd level spells be dedicated to haste for 1 level. So that does kind of require that you actually do it the hard way. I mean, some DMs will say you don't, but a lot of DMs would be like, okay, yeah, you're going to need to get haste. And then once you get, and you're going to, you'll need to get haste the hard way. So you'll need to get 3rd level spells. So like 3rd level wizard sorcerer spells, which, 5 levels of wizard, or, just potentially 3 levels of wizard, and, some prestige classes, or maybe even 1, depending on how you do it. So yeah, maybe mercs. What do you mean by mercs? Are you talking about the tower defense game? Because yeah, we're basically mercenaries that are defending some crystals. It's kind of cool. Oh, feat. There's a feat called mercs. I didn't know that. Now I'm curious. I'm very curious now. Let me. Computer. There we go. I'm going to look this up. D&D 3.5 mercs. No idea what you're talking about. You can hire merc at level 6 with feat. I don't know what the feat's name is. I tried looking it up just now, and nothing came up. So I'm going to need a full name to be able to look anything up. But never heard of that. Or are you talking about leadership? If you're talking about leadership, I mean, that works, but I try not to put those onto build videos just because that just gets complicated. But yeah, also that doesn't really fit with the build I'm doing with the speed build. So yeah, I don't know where you're going on with this, but yeah, it doesn't really fit. Yeah, but anywho, we are. I'm not even sure at this point. I'm new, so that's fair, Slyther. I get it. But yeah, you're probably talking about the leadership feat now that I think about it, and especially seeing as you mentioned level 6. It's not really mercenaries so much. I mean, you can hire mercenaries at any level. The leadership feat, it lets you have a cohort, which basically, if you think of the players as superheroes, which is kind of a way to look at it, then uh, uh, then your cohort, man, it took me a second to figure out the word. I was spacing for a second, but your cohort is your sidekick. So, if you're Batman, this is going to be your Robin, you know. So, yeah, that feat basically lets you have a sidekick, more or less. And it also lets you have just followers, which aren't particularly good. The best use for followers is typically to have them work in trades and just, have a bunch of experts that are just going to sit back at the base and make stuff and then make you money while you're out adventuring. That's typically the best way to utilize followers, is use them to make money and stuff while you're out adventuring. So typically the best way to do it. But yeah, your cohorts you're going to want to take with you, because they're actually reasonably powerful and are able to, keep up. They're going to be like 2 levels behind you, and 2 levels behind is significant. That's enough that they're pulling their weight. They may not be as good as everyone else, but they're pulling their weight. So 1 feat to get an extra character that's 2 levels behind, that's actually kind of huge. So yeah, it's a really, really good feat, especially if your DM lets you make whatever you want with a cohort. But if they don't, then the feat's less good. It really just depends on how your DM sees the leadership feat, because rules as written are pretty vague. So yeah, DMs play that feat very, very differently. Some don't even allow it because it's just too good or too broken, because you effectively get to play 2 characters to some extent. So yeah, but yeah, the whole thing with the whole thing with Dungeons and Dragons is, the players are, the party, they're the superheroes. It's like, Justice League or like the Avengers. D&D is not Iron Man or Thor or anything. It's the Avengers, and each character is one of them. So yeah, interesting, because I'm actually wearing a Marvel shirt. But yeah. Uh, but yeah, that's just the way I look at Dungeons and Dragons. It's fun. I really love the game. It's so much fun. You get to do whatever you want for the most part. It's open world, that you're limited only by your imagination and what your DM lets you do, which the DM should put limits for pretty much always, at least to some extent. Even if you're doing a completely off the wall campaign, you're going to have some minor limits in what you can do. Not going to be able to do completely everything. Even if you're doing the absolutely insane one shot of everyone's a pun and you're fighting against the DM, there's still going to be limits on what you can do. There's not going to be much of limits, but there's going to be some limits on what you can accomplish. So, yeah, basically anything in the books is pretty much open to you. But, if you can't find a thing in a book anywhere, then it might be something that might be difficult to do or take some time to figure out. Yeah. But yeah, usually there's going to be way more limits than that. Like, you only have so much money, only so many levels, all that fun stuff. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is figuring out how to make the coolest, best thing possible, and to make the best, most awesome decisions in the moment, given the limited resources that you have. And yeah, that can be really fun, figuring out how to really make everything work. Like, it's resource management, which is, to me, very fun. You only have so many feats, you only have so many levels. What are you going to put them on? Very fun, at least in my opinion. And once you're actually playing, living in the world, doing your thing, there's so much you can do. I don't know, I just really enjoy D&D. It's one of my favorite games. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions or anything, like, I've said this is an open forum. This is your guys' chance to discuss really anything with me. This is, I go into these with not a whole lot planned out, and it's just sort of, all right, what do you guys want to do? How do you, the chat, and how do you, like, my viewers, what do you want to see? And that's kind of what happens with these streams, because this is a thank you. Like, this is my thank you for helping me hit 1,000 subscribers. Is you get to hang out and just talk and have a nice open Q&A hangout session, whatever you want to call it. So yeah. Hey, Malukra, appreciate that. What's up? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping in. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Because, yeah, like I say, this is your guys' stream. Let's see. Let's just look through some of these books that I got. I got Storm Rack right here. Let's see if there's anything cool in here. I haven't really looked at it much. Ooh, some interesting poisons. Anything that's actually decent? Okay, the DCs aren't crazy high. But, yeah, some new races. Ooh, that's cool. That's a lot of new races. Humans as well. Okay, that's just going over existing ones. Some new talk on how various... Interesting. Ooh, they even have like Spirit Shaman and War Mage and Swashbuckler. That's kind of cool. Yeah, Spirit Shaman, Swashbuckler, War Mage. That's cool. They have all sorts of stuff in here. This book's kind of nice. They even have Knights. Some prestige, or no, some new classes. That's cool. Oh no, these are just prestige classes. Weird. Why are they listed as in the class section? Strange. But yeah, if you guys got any questions, let me know. I'm just trying to figure out what to do here. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff. Skills and feats. Shipbuilding. Ooh, that's cool. Some shipbuilding on skills. Some interesting new feats. Tooth blow, wind slice, aquatic shot, clever wrestling, old salt. Interesting. Rapid swimming. Rapid swimming is an interesting feat because, generally you're better off just getting a swim speed than having the swim skill. Swim skill is not particularly, like, having a swim speed is just inherently better than the swim skill. Although I guess you might be able to use them in conjunction, like to be able to use the run skill. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, I think run's a skill. Is it? I don't remember. Yeah, maybe it's not a skill. I don't think I've ever used it. So, anywho, anybody's got any questions? We are, we got. We just hit 1,000. Can pets wear armor? Yes, they can. That's listed in the player's handbook, actually. Basically, how pets wear armor is you have to get armor that is specifically designed for them. So it's got to be special, like armor for a various type of pet. So like if you have like a horse that you want to wear armor, then it has to be, it's going to be bigger because a horse is larger, so it's going to be bigger, which is going to cost more. It's also for an unusual creature like a horse, so that's going to cost a little bit more money as well. A horse is fairly usual in terms of pets, but at the same time, horse armor is not nearly as common as human armor. So there's that. But yeah, so it's going to cost a lot more than your standard armor. Although enchanting it should cost the exact same. But yeah, you can absolutely give an animal companion or a horse or any sort of pet some armor. Um, I know you were mentioning that your pet was a walrus. That's a bit of an issue because we're talking about a sea creature, and armor worn in the water drags you down. So that's actually a big problem. I believe if you have a swim speed, I think you can only wear up to light without it being an issue. And then after that, it starts becoming a problem, just like with flying. Um, I could be wrong. It's probably in Storm Rack, which I was just looking at, but I haven't read through it thoroughly enough to be able to say for sure. But yeah, they can typically wear armor if it's excuse me, if it's a walrus and it's going to be in the water, that can be a problem. If it's going to be on land, like it doesn't matter. Although it will slow them down if you go over light armor, just like it will a human or any other creature except for dwarves. Yeah, the model I got, uh, walrus gut armor looks cool. Nice. That is awesome. And yeah, you can give your walrus armor. I'm just saying, if you go more than light armor, it's going to impact his ability to swim. I think light armor's fine, but I'm pretty confident that anything more than that will make swimming more difficult. I know typically if you don't have a swim speed, you have to take double the armor check penalty on swim. So that's a real issue if you don't have a swim speed, trying to wear armor while swimming, like because it weighs you down. Like trying to swim in full plate armor is extremely difficult because I think the armor check penalty on that's like 10 or something, and then it's doubled, so it's like a nine. It's like a -20 to swim. Plus, the total weight that you carry also impacts your swim on terms of armor check penalty, or maybe it's not armor check, but like it also is a check penalty based off of all your weight and also in terms of the armor. So yeah, swimming while wearing heavy armor is extremely difficult. Um, it's more for fun. Slow walrus guarding only 20-foot movement on land. Yeah, that's fine. Like land is simple. It's just if he's going to wear that armor while swimming, that may or may not be an issue. So yeah, although yeah, with light armor, probably fine. Uh, Riverine. This unusual material is made from water under extremely high pressure. Oh, I'm familiar with this actually. Extremely high pressure halves the armor's AC bonus and bonus uh, halves the armor's AC bonus. The other half is deflection, and the AC. Uh, and that adds to the touch AC. It's all in Storm Rack 128. Nice. Yeah, I've seen Riverine before. I didn't realize that was in Storm Rack. That's really cool. Makes sense, I guess. But yeah, Riverine's a cool one. We actually had a DMPC that the players kind of tracked down. They wanted somebody to be part of the party, or they didn't want someone part of the party. They wanted to get an animated flag that was made of Riverine, and also was capable of moving and could hold a sword. They wanted it to hold a spellblade sword with what was it, disintegrate, to make it so that it would be basically indestructible. And then they put some ruins on it in order to make it so that anyone who wasn't in the party would get stunned. So yeah, that was kind of a cool thing that they had. But they ended up hating it because when they put out notice in Sigil that they wanted it, the only one that was interested ended up being Bocob, and he had other plans for it, so he gave him something even better. He gave him an actual sentient flag. Yeah, with like levels and stuff. But yeah, that was a whole plot point going on. Yeah. Yo, Mamek, was it Mamek Caro? Good morning. Good morning, Mamek. It's afternoon here, but good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is, It's a Q&A live stream. You guys, it's a chance to ask any questions about D&D 3.5. Can kind of talk about whatever you guys want. Mostly in terms of 3.5, but other subjects are fine as well, as long as we focus mostly on 3.5. So yeah. Said 128 for Riverine. Here we go. Riverine. This unusual material is made from water under extremely high pressure. Yep. Riverine is sometimes also used to create walls and even containers, being enclosed in magical force. It is immune to all damage and is unaffected by most spells. However, disintegrate immediately destroys an item made of Riverine, as does a Rod of Cancellation. It's blah, 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 causing the water to spill out in a sudden rush. Armor and shields made of Riverine do not form a complete enclosure, so breath weapons and spells do not affect the wearer. However, walls of Riverine block ethereal travel, breath weapons, and spell effects, just as a wall of force does. Ooh, interesting. Pretty expensive stuff, but yeah, really cool. Yeah, I do like special materials. They're always fun to play around with, and Rivering does seem like one of the cooler ones. So yeah, but yeah, hope everybody is doing well. If anybody's got any questions, like Snagwolf or Mamek or anybody, let me know. But yeah, I just looked up Riverine. It's some pretty cool stuff. I was always curious what happened when it broke, and knowing that the water just rushes out, that I like. I was thinking, maybe it could have some like temperature stuff, because I know water under pressure has different effects than water not under pressure. And when you suddenly depressurize something that's highly pressurized like that, that can cause radical shifts in temperature and all that, just in the real world in terms of physics and whatnot. But I guess that's not a thing here, so it is what it is. But yeah, I was always just curious how that worked. But apparently they went with the simple of water just rushes out, which fair enough. So yeah, anyone's got any questions about anything Dungeons and Dragons related? Stormwrack's not the only book that I got recently. I also got Sandstorm and Frostburn. Both seem like some pretty interesting books. I know before I got them, there were some builds that I used, or I don't know if I used them, but I was looking at Sandstorm a bit in terms of some stuff. I think I looked at Frostburn for some stuff as well, because there's some really good stuff in these books from everything that I've heard about them. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to looking through the books a bit more and seeing what exists. Is your camp a homebrew world? It is. I generally stick with homebrew worlds. So my world, it's they're in a country that's a big circle, and at the center is the capital, and that's where most of the humans live. I usually stick with a theme like that, and then to the east and west, there's the dwarves and the elves. I think I had the dwarves to the west and the elves to the east, and then north was the halflings and south was the gnomes. And there's just sort of rough biomes that I kind of design mostly in my head. It's pretty rough. Yeah, I didn't fully think everything through, but yeah, it's basically a circle with a big old cross in it for the main roads, and then various outlying stuff out in the distance. So yeah, that's the basic idea I have, and then outside of that circle, there's other countries that exist. I think I had like the sea to the south, and then like the mountains. There's like this cold mountainous area to the north, and I think the west had a desert. I think I even made that Hyrule, and then like to the east, I had a big forest. So yeah, I generally go with various homebrew worlds. I don't know. I've never really gone with the actual worlds and said, okay, here's like the actual Greyhawk worlds where you have this town here, this another town here. Like, I don't know. I've never really done that, and I've never really done any sort of anything you can like find online. I've never done those much. I've never DM'd any of them, and I've only been a player in those a couple of times. One of my friends ran me through a few of those, but yeah, I don't know. I mostly just prefer making my own worlds and or playing in worlds that my friends made. I find that more fun personally, but I am going to start looking into playing in actual worlds that are more defined, that aren't created by me or other people or like friends and stuff. Ones that other people can relate to a little bit better. That is something that I'm thinking of doing going forward. So yeah, it's kind of my thought process on things. What about you guys? You guys play a lot of homebrew worlds, or are you guys playing actual settings, or any sort of? I'm spacing the name, but anything that like other people have created. Um, yeah, curious what you guys typically play, or if you guys are like me and do mostly homebrew. If you are doing other stuff, I'm also curious what you'd recommend. So, some stuff to maybe look into. So, yeah. Um, Forgotten Realms, nice. I haven't played the Forgotten Realms. I don't have any of the Forgotten Realms books. That is likely going to be the first ones that I do. I'm probably going to get all the Forgotten Realms books at some point in the future. I don't know when. I don't want to say it's going to be soon because it probably won't be, but that is something that I do have planned, is to get the Forgotten Realms books and make some videos on those. I also plan on getting Eberron as well because I just remembered the name. So yeah, we use the maps and stuff. Nice. I might. That's something I might consider. Yeah, usually my maps are pretty garbage. It's literally a circle, and then I just kind of draw a couple things because I am no artist, uh, and I haven't really worked with D&D map making tools much. So, yeah, that's something that I should probably learn at some point. But yeah, I mostly just draw stuff in Roll20 with like boxes and circles and stuff, and make things happen. And sometimes I'll download images off Google and find things to throw into the game. But yeah, that's basically, I don't know. I think my designs tend to be fairly crude looking, but it is what it is. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to DMing, and that's definitely one of my weaknesses is making maps. Scyther homebrew and archipelago with exploration as a significant element of the campaign. Nice. Buddy is a barbarian Viking, and I sail. I think it's going to be Viking themed. Not sure how we raid with 4 players. LOL. Hey, 4 players can do a lot, and yeah, if that's the campaign, Stormrack is probably a book you're going to be using heavily. It sounds like you already are, but yeah, Stormrack is very much the book you want to be using a lot of if you're going to be, on the high seas a lot. If that's something you're doing, then yeah, Stormrack. um, just like if you happen to be, in a desert, you know, Sandstorm is very much a book you want to use because it has all sorts of rules for deserts and stuff. And if you're going to be out in the tundra where it's freezing and all that, Frostburn. So yeah, it's really cool that they have like books for like the specific extreme environments that you're not going to typically be going through. Like, if you're just going through the forest or the mountains or whatever, it's like, okay, there's nothing too crazy going on with those. There's some stuff with like mountains, and I mean, there's some stuff with that, but a lot of the mountain stuff is covered in Races of Stone, and a lot of the forest stuff is covered in Races of the Wild. There's not a whole lot to talk about with those, but there is. Plains, there's really nothing to talk about there at all. Then cities have their own complexities, but you have Cityscape. Dungeons can have their own complexities that they have Dungeonscape for that. So yeah, there's so many books that cover basically any situation you might find yourself in, which I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, just doing a little posture check. Sitting still without moving for too long ain't exactly good for you. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions on anything about Dungeons and Dragons, anything you want to know that you're not sure about, or just anything you want to talk about in general, feel free to let me know. I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the game. Um, but yeah, in terms of rating with 4 players, I mean, there's 4 of you. You're fairly strong. You you can always recruit other guys, but at the same time, some high level players should be able to do a decent amount of rating on their own. You know, D&D is a little bit like, anime in some ways, or like, adventure novels, or really anything where, you have your protagonists, and your protagonists are stronger than your general person. And Dungeons and Dragons is very much that way. Most of the people that you encounter in a typical village aren't going to be that much of a threat. You're going to see a lot of level 1 commoners that aren't good. Um, a typical commoner, how I would roll, and how I think a commoner should be roll. I think even rules is written. You just roll 3d6 6 times and do that in order, and that's their stats. So I have 3d6 right here. So if I was to just make stats for a commoner off the top, like off the cuff, looks like I got 2 4s and a 1, so that's a 9. So 9 strength. Let's see. Ooh, that one's pretty good. 13 dex. He's fairly dexterous. I rolled decent there. 10. So 10 constitution. So no bonuses, no minuses. Wow, I'm actually rolling really good. 13. So 13 intelligence. This guy's kind of smart. I'm actually rolling really high. Another 13. So 13 wisdom. Fairly good. And here's the crappy one. That's a 4. So 4 charisma. This guy is a complete jerk. So, random stats just rolled for a commoner. Like, for just your average Joe Schmo, that's typically how you would roll their stats, is literally just roll 3d6 6 times in order, and that's it. So yeah, guy ended up being pretty decent for the most part, except for charisma, which was abysmal. Yeah, he was a complete jerk with his 4 charisma, but decently smart and wise and strong. Yeah. Reroll 46, remove lowest. Add 1d4 if 16 or higher for stats. Interesting. So that's similar to how you would roll for like a player. So players, yeah, you'd roll 46 and drop the lowest. The add 1d4 is a special house rule. Normally you don't do that because, I mean, if it's 16 or higher, especially because, I get what they're doing. They're trying to get, you to have some really good stats, but you could end up with 20s, which is crazy. Um, Typically you're only supposed to have 18, but yeah, and that's rare. So your DM was very generous, but see, you as the players, you're not just your average Joe Schmo. You are somebody who is better than average, which is why you get to, drop the lowest rolls, and you don't have to go in order. You can put them wherever you want because you are an exceptional person. Like, that's really how that's what it comes down to. Your average Joe Schmo commoner, he's not going to be able to cut it as an adventurer. You can cut it as an adventurer because you're better than average. Your Joe Schmo commoner is just going to be 3d6 in order, not dropping anything. And yeah. So I rolled particularly high with most of those stats when I did just a random example, other than the crappy, that just horrible charisma. I have a homebrew world. I've been a DM on and off for over 20 years. Nice. That's really awesome. Has it been that long for me? How long have I been at this? I don't think it's been 20 years because I started in 06. Although I didn't really start DMing and playing seriously until 09. So not quite. Been like 14 years for me of really playing. 17 since I picked up the game, but I did those first 3 years. I tried to find groups, but I had no friends, and yeah, I had the core books, but that was all I had. I used the DM's dice, rolled badly. He did warn me though that it is considered unlucky. That is considered unlucky. Yeah, understandable. I mean, luck is superstition. A lot of D&D players are very superstitious. I personally am not, but I know that superstition is huge in the community. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, and rolling the DM's dice, that's perfectly fine. Like most DMs have extra dice. That's just the thing that comes with being a DM. One, people who want to step up and DM tend to be dice goblins because most players who play with any sort of regular, like any sort of frequency, like people who just play all the time and love the game, most of them are dice goblins. They just are like, ooh, dice. I love dice. Also, dice is a great present. Like for people, like if you want to have somebody that doesn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons give you a present, and you're one of those people that's hard to shop for, like I am. I've told them, you can get me dice. They don't just make sure they look cool. Like, make sure it's got all the different ones, D4, D6. It's a standard set of dice. Make sure they look cool, and I would think they would look cool. Don't get stuff you like, get stuff I would like, and make sure they're readable because that's really important. You want to make sure that you can read the dice because sometimes you find dice and the text is practically the same color and it's really hard to read. So you don't want that. 10 in all stats. Dang. 24 points to spend. Okay, 10 in all stats. I get what you're saying. So bet more than the 8. 24 points to spend. Any stat over 14 costs 2 points for 1 stat point. Okay, so you're generous because the rules for that are laid out very clearly in the DMG on, I believe it's a page 169 at the DMG. I know because 69, nice. But that's the reason why I remember. But page 169 of the DMG, you start with 8 is the typical rules, and then you can add more by you can have 32 points, and 32 is generous. That's what I usually run with because I like high powered. But you can have anywhere between like 18 and 32 points, and depending on how high powered you want your campaign. And yeah, you can then you can just distribute them. And it's more complicated than that. It's 1 point for the first few, then 2 points for a while after that. Then it starts getting to like 3 and 4. Like getting 18s is really expensive. I think an 18 is like 16 points. So, if you have a 32 point scale, you could do 2 18s and the rest 8s. So, yeah, it's very, very expensive to get an 18, which is why with point buy, a lot of players don't get 18s. They're also really hard to get when rolling because you have to roll, 3 of your 4 dice as 6s, which is not easy. It's very unlikely to have come up. It takes 12 points to get an 18 in my system. Yeah, see, that's considerably less. But well, actually, that balances a bit more. The big difference in your system is it's based around a 10 instead of a 8. So that's not a huge, I guess that's not terrible. But personally, I like low stats. I don't know if your system allows you to get more points by lowering your stats below 10. Personally, I allow that. Personally, I'll allow you to drop your stat as low as a 3. And in doing so, you get extra points. So you can get up to 5 extra points per stat that you make a 3. 2 for 1, yeah. So for every stat, for every 2 you drop, you get 1 point. So if you drop something to an 8, you'd only get 1 point. Is that what you're saying, Snagwolf? Drop 2, get 1. Gotcha. All right. Personally, I do drop one, get one. I'm a little more generous on that, where I let my players, if they want to, make a caster with a 3 strength, go for it. One of my players seriously considered it, but he was really having issues with the strength limits, or carrying capacity, because I think he was medium, but at the same time, like, a 3 strength does not let you carry much. It gives you like a 25-pound light load, and that's not a lot. Or maybe it was less than that. My sling is so heavy. Like literally, like their weapons were like just carrying. He was looking into it. It's like, all right, a bag of holding. That's heavier than I can carry with my light load. That's a problem. So, yeah. Uh, Fun stuff. Although clothing doesn't count towards your weight limit, which is rules is written. It does specifically say that your basic clothing doesn't count. Like your adventurer's outfit, which no one ever remembers what clothes they're even wearing. They just think about armor, because clothing really is just, it's just your look. So yeah, it doesn't have a lot of effect. Sling equals underwear 0 weight. Oh yeah, slings are 0 weight. Forgot about that. Uh, yeah. I think slings are also free. Like, I mean, a sling, it's literally just a piece of cloth. Like half the time my players are like, yeah, I ripped my shirt, I made a sling. It's like, yeah, all right. Even with crafting rules, it's like, yeah, I mean, with the zero cost for a sling, it makes sense that you literally could just rip a piece of clothing. It's like, all right, I have a piece of cloth, therefore I have a sling. Can a sling be good? Yeah, it's decent. It's a relatively okay melee weapon. It's simple. It doesn't require too much. Ammo is free on land. Yes, but you take a -1 penalty for using the free ammo. Um, and it's only on certain land, because the ammo is rocks, and you have to be somewhere where you can find rocks, which is a lot of places, but it's not everywhere. If you're out in the middle of the desert, it's going to be hard to find rocks. If you're, up in the mountains, it'll probably be easier for the most part, although maybe it'll be difficult to be able to dislodge the rocks. If you're in the swamp, it could be hard to find rocks. Really just depends on where you're at, but most places you can find rocks fairly easily. +1 versus Goliath. LOL. True. Really? It gets a +1 for Goliath? Oh, I did. I get what you're getting at, the whole David versus Goliath. I don't know if is that an actual game mechanic that Goliaths are weak to that? I don't think they are, but I mean, really? Yeah, no, it's not. Okay, I was going to say I didn't think it was a game mechanic, but your DM could make it one, and I get it. Like the whole David versus Goliath, Goliath was taken out with a sling, so I get it. It's a joke. Figured. I thought so. It's funny though, but I also don't know every single little thing about D&D, so there's been plenty of times where I thought someone was joking, but it turns out that it's actually a thing, because D&D likes to include jokes as references, like things that you would think would be a joke. It's like, no, that's actually a real thing. They decided to include it because the creators had a sense of humor, which is really cool. I really like that a lot. But yeah, Goliaths are ones I've looked into heavily in the past, so I didn't think they had a weakness like that. But if your DM wants to add that just because it's funny, like, yeah, Sling of Giant Slaying. Nice. After 20 years, I'm still learning new things for 3.5. Yeah, same. Like, I haven't been playing 20 years, but I've been playing, 14, and I'm still learning new stuff. Like, this game has so much. Yeah. And it's 3.5. Is it even 20 years old? When did it come out? Let's see. That would be, it's 2023 now. So 2003. Was 3.5 out in 2003? Hard to say. 2007. That's what I thought. Uh, 2007. I know I was playing in '06 though. There's no way it came out in '07 because I got my books in '06. I remember because I was in high school and I graduated in '06. So I don't know when it came out, but it was definitely not '07. D&D 3.5 release date. Let me look this up. June 2003. Okay. So, yeah, 03, 4.0 in 2007, 2003 to 2007. Gotcha. Although, let's be real, like, even in 2008, 2009, like, people were playing 3.5. Like, nobody played 4.0. Like, that just wasn't a thing. 3.5 really didn't start to die until 5e came out. It sort of did with Pathfinder, but at the same time, the games are so close and the communities are so close. Like, especially nowadays, like half the people on half my viewers are Pathfinder players because Pathfinder and 3.5 are super compatible with each other. At least, yeah. But anywho, yeah, like Pathfinder is generally considered D&D 3.75. So yeah. But yeah, that's what was I saying? But yeah, so in terms of when you were playing it, so it hasn't been out for 20 years yet, but we got what, 4 months? 4 months until the 20-year anniversary. So pretty close. I mean, splitting hairs. If you've been playing since it came out, plus you're playing 3.0, which came out before that. So that would be even longer than 20 years at this point. I don't know how long the gap between 3.0 and 3.5 was, but I'm sure it was more than 4 months, but I don't know how much. Like, I would wager it's at least 6 months. Like, I guess between 6 months and 2 years. 48, nice. I am 34. Although that's again splitting hairs. I'm going to be 35. Next time you guys see me, so in a week when I do this live stream, I'm going to be 35. But right now I'm 34 because, yeah, got a birthday coming up in a couple days. So, yeah, that's a thing that's happening. That's why I got all those environment books. Those were all birthday presents from my parents. So, yeah, got nice parents. Still giving me birthday presents, even though I'm 34. Even though it's like my 35th birthday, they're still giving me presents. So that's cool. You're 47. Nice. So I'm the young one in the room. All right. That's fair enough. Uh, I know my audience is more or less my age. Like, there's some guys your guys' age, but there's also some guys in like, their mid 20s. Some, some, there's even a few guys that are younger than that. Not too many, but yeah. And then, yeah, that's just my demo, as I'm aware. But yeah, we like old things. Yeah, I love this game. Like, this game, like, this is peak Dungeons and Dragons, if you ask me. Like, a lot of people are like, no, it's 5e, but 5e is just too watered down. There's just not as much content there. It's based off of 3.5, but it's simplified, which I get, and I like it for what it is, because one of the biggest problems with 3.5 is that a lot of people get really overwhelmed by it. It has a really steep learning curve, and that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. A lot of people just can't handle the learning curve of 3.5, and I get it. Like, I get that it's not for everyone, and since 5e simplified things, that opened the door for a lot more players to play. There's a lot more people that can handle 5e that can't handle the learning curve of 3.5. So I get it, but I personally don't like it as much, just because there's not as much to do. Like, there's not as much customization and freedom. Like, I can't do everything I want to do in 5e. Like, I'm so spoiled by, all the customization of 3.5 that 5e just feels dull to me. So yeah, you've never played. My players just hit 30. Nice. So not too much younger than me. I've never played 4 or 5e. So 4 is completely different game. It's Dungeons and Dragons, the board game. You play with a D6, or the board game slash card game. Yeah, it's a weird board game card game mix. Like it's not even really a tabletop RPG. Um, yeah, I haven't played it, but I've heard a good amount about it. Now 5e I have played, and 5e it's like 3.5, but with a lot less stuff. They took prestige classes and they instead worked them into the base classes. So they made it so that base classes between at either first, second, or third level, depending on which class, you would branch into 3 different options. And then I think there's even more with supplement books. And yeah, and those would be effectively how you get prestige classes is you pick your base class and then you pick a subclass at first, second, or third level, and that's effectively the prestige class that you go into. So that's how they did that. It's a lot simpler, but it doesn't allow you to pick up multiple different ones. So you pick your prestige, you pick your subclass, and then you're just kind of locked in. You also can pick your race. There aren't as many restrictions. There's ability restrictions for certain classes. Like if you want to be a barbarian, you have to have at least like a 14 strength or something. There's various things like that, or maybe it's 13. But aside from that, yeah, it is what it is. You can multi-class, but yeah, they got rid of prestige classes. Also, you can only have 3 magic items that are attuned to you, whereas in 3.5, you can have a lot of magic. You can have unlimited magic items attuned to you, and so many that are on body slots, and you have a lot of different body slots, so a lot more magic items. 5e doesn't have near as much focus on that. But yeah, those are the differences for the most part. I looked into 5e a bunch, not for me. Fair enough. Yeah, I've played it, and it's all right. Like, I don't hate 5e. Like, I can play it and enjoy myself just fine. I'm just going to be disappointed the whole time. Like, the whole time I'm playing it, I'm going to be like, this isn't as good as 3.5. Like, I'm going to be thinking that, you know, I may even mention it to the group, although I'm smart enough to not do it too much because that just annoys people. But yeah, I stick with 3.5 for the most part, though. I really like GURPS, though. GURPS 4th edition is really good. Um, yeah, it has, basically unlimited customization. And what you can do is really just limited by your DM. So that one's a really fun one. I played Middle Earth role playing. Ooh, I haven't heard of that one. That sounds fun though. Good fantasy setting. It sounds like it'd be similar to GURPS, but hard to say for sure. GURPS Car Wars. Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, GURPS is a fun one. I would say GURPS is easily my second favorite system that I've played. It's just so fun. It's completely different than D&D, like 3.5. Like it's a 3D6 space system, which is kind of cool because it's got bell curve built in, whereas 3.5 doesn't have that. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it. It's a pretty fun game, and you can choose your stats and like everything. Like it's completely customizable because there's no classes. You just buy class features with points. Like you buy abilities, class features, all that. You just get so many points and you can use it to get whatever things you want that would normally be associated with level up. So you can go all in on ability points and not get anything else if you want. You can go all in on skills if you want. You can, go all in on features like in feats. Like, yeah, the sky's the limit. Like you can do whatever you want, which is really cool. Thinking about BattleTech, nice. I really need to try another system out of the D&D realm before I die. I would highly recommend GURPS if you're going to try something. Personally, it's my second favorite. 3.5 is my favorite system, obviously. That's what the channel's built around. I have, hundreds of videos going on thousands at this point. So yeah, that's obviously my favorite, but you know, GURPS is a good close second. It's a really fun one. I really enjoy GURPS. So yeah, it's a solid system, and you don't have to stick with medieval fantasy. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can do a superhero game. You can do a Star Wars themed game. Some sort of sci-fi stuff. You can do, you know, modern times thing. Like yeah, like you can do stuff where like, all right, we're just gonna play just an ordinary life simulator, and you're gonna try and the goal is to get through life. I don't know. You could do that in GURPS. I don't know how fun that'd be, but it's definitely a thing you can do in GURPS. Played Palladium, TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's a game. Uh, Heroes, Robotech, Rifts. Interesting. I was never got into the Turtles. I was more of a Power Rangers fan back in the day, but I was also a small child back then. Whereas you guys were a little older back in those days. But yeah, yeah, I was a big old. Yeah, I mean, I watched the Turtles, but I was never super into them. I was definitely more of a Power Rangers fan. You can pick an animal and how you mutate. You can learn ninjutsu. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, that actually wouldn't be bad. I would love to do some like anime style stuff as well because I'm a big anime fan, and I know a decent number of my viewers are as well. So I don't know, that could be cool. But yeah, at some point I'm going to be doing a Shikamaru build. That's coming out somewhat soon. But first I got to get through this speed build. Then I'll do a Naruto character build of Shikamaru Nara, if anyone's familiar with that anime. So that's coming soon-ish. It's going to be another video I make between them, but that one won't come out for a while. Yeah, and working on trying to start making more videos. I know I've been not making them as much the last little bit. So that's something I'm working on, trying to get back into the groove of making all of those. Uh, it's been a bit of a time for me, not going to lie. Yeah, the pandemic's been rough. Been very isolated. So yeah, it is what it is. Been isolated, have been out of work. It's just been tough. So it's been hard to stay motivated, but it's something I'm working on getting back into the groove of. That and burnout. It's just the whole thing. But yeah, gonna start getting more videos. I mean, I finally got that one on the what was the one that I came out with recently? That I know I had the why play Dungeons and Dragons one. That one was cool. That one I was super proud of that thumbnail. But man, that was over a week ago that I did that now though. Dang. Yeah, I really got to get back on that. But yeah, the one I did, I don't even, the Maester, that was it. Yeah, so I got to make this build video, get some more stuff going. So yeah, it's definitely some plans going forward. Going to keep up with the feats videos. I'm trying to do one a day. Some days I don't get to it, but when I don't, I've been making extra to make up for it. So I'm probably going to do that tonight, sometime after stream. Is knock out a bunch of knock out a bunch of videos real quick, a bunch of shorts because they really don't take that long to make. They really don't. Takes a second to read the feed, learn how good it is, figure that out. That's not too hard for me. Then record at mild editing, not much. Yeah, so much easier than making actual videos. Actual videos have so much more editing going into them, and yeah, much longer record times, much more editing. Like there's so much more polished. So yeah, but the shorts do well, and like I don't know, they seem to they work. They're good for what they are. So yeah, definitely something I plan to continue for the foreseeable future because yeah, I suspect these feats are gonna go for quite some time. I have a bajillion books. Yeah, if anyone else has any other questions though, yeah. Let's see. What are some of these other books that I got aside from Storm Rack? Frostburn and Sandstorm look kind of cool. Let's take a look at Sandstorm because that one's easier to access right now. Let's see what's cool in here. Anything interesting in this book that I should be aware of while I wait for you guys to come up with any other questions or anything? Let's see. Nation of Hawaii. Interesting. Barbarians got some new feet. Oh, some new races. That's kind of cool. Couple of new ones. Yeah, talking about heat endurance. That's definitely something that comes up a lot when you're in the desert. Like they come up with all these rules for it, which is really cool. All sorts of new prestige classes. I like that. Let's see. Picking up Ashworm Dragon. Wait, there's a Ashworm Dragon, Lord of Tides, Sand Shaper. Sand Shaper is one that I was looking at before for a build. It's for a Necromancer one. Because, yeah, I think they get some really cool stuff. What was it, Desert Shroud or something? 10th level, you can be able to come back to life under certain constitutions. If the remains of your deceased body lie in the soil, waste for 10 minutes, you are restored to life. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, Sand Shaper is definitely one that I was looking at in the past. Yeah, there's some cool stuff in these books. Definitely something I need to look through more. Yeah. Anyone's got any ideas on anything? Oh, and if you haven't already, I know a lot of you have, but if you haven't, there's a link to my Discord as well as my Twitch. If you want to join the Discord, talk about Dungeons and Dragons, help me with builds, all that good fun stuff. I still need to work on the server. I'll probably start doing that at some point as well. I just got to figure out what I want to do with it. Let's. If you want to check me out on Twitch, it's been a long time since I've streamed on there. I'm gonna start getting back into that soon as well. Been playing a lot of Pokemon Scarlet off stream. I think my last stream was Scarlet, but it was on release day. So, yeah, if you're into those kind of games, you can check me out on there as well. Be playing some. At some point, I'll want to play some D&D 3.5, which really what I need to do is I need to get together a group of people. So I need to get probably 4 to 8 people, somewhere in there. Because I generally prefer somewhat larger group sizes. And if people aren't consistent, 8's kind of nice because if a couple of people don't show up, we're still sitting around 6, and we're not going to drop below that 4 mark like almost ever. So that's one reason why I like 8 is, a lot of times people don't show. So yeah, somewhere like 8-ish people, at least 4, all willing to be on camera. And we could do a little stream on Twitch, something that I kind of want to do at some point. Then upload the VODs probably to my second channel, which is just all my Twitch VODs. And then I'll probably take those VODs, edit them, and make videos about the campaign and stuff. So that'll probably be a thing that I want to do with some. Oh, that's a thing that I want to do at some point. I just don't know if I have the clout for that. I'm also trying to do a whole bunch of other stuff. So, that's a lot of work to do all that. One, I have to, build the whole new game and organize it, and I'll have to edit the videos. So, and also I'd have to, deal with streaming while DMing, which is a thing, something I can figure out, I'm sure. But since I have experience with both, just combining them together, I'm sure something I can handle. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions, we still got another like 40 minutes left on the stream. So if anyone's got anything they want to talk about, any questions about anything, let me know and we can discuss that. Yeah. Whew. But yeah, 3.5 is, I mean, as you guys know, it's my favorite game. Um, if you guys haven't been doing the polls, definitely maybe check those out because I am using those in videos. So basically, once we get to the final results from the polls, that will be used for a new series of videos that, well, not exactly series, but um, you know how I have my D&D, my D&D top 3.5e, how I have that series? Well, basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a similar one where it's your D&D top 3.5e, and it's based off the polls. So how you guys vote in the polls is going to determine what is in those videos. Uh, Commonizer, yes, 3.5 and Pathfinder 1 is my favorite. Nice. Yeah, I haven't played Pathfinder as much. I really need to play that more. But yeah, I love 3.5, favorite game. Pathfinder, I need to get, like I said, I need to play it more. I also love GURPS 4th edition. Very fun game. 5e was all right. It's not my favorite. It's good for what it is, good for low learning curve, you know, you know, a dumbed down 3.5. It is what it is. But yeah, 3.5, Pathfinder, both great systems. Pathfinder's basically 3.75. Yeah, I'm aware of that. There's just some rule differences that were changed. Some somewhat big ones like um, death was definitely nerfed in Pathfinder because your death saving throws isn't anywhere near as brutal as it is in 3.5. So there's that. Like, there's a lot of things that got changed. I know that one threw me off because I'm just trying to think when I played Pathfinder, the things that threw me for a loop that I didn't realize they were what they were. Um, so I know death. I know the skills got changed a lot. I know, what was it? Uh, I know they have what, I'm trying to remember what they were called. Disadvantages and advantages. But they had like things that you could take that would like make you better, and things that you could take that would like make you worse. Like, I'm trying to remember what they were called. I know it's in 3.5 as well, but it's a little more obscure in 3.5. It's only in I think Unearthed Arcana or something like that. CMB replaced Grapple. Yeah, CMB replaced Grapple and Trip and whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I'm familiar with that, which is it's definitely a thing. Um, which it simplified things, but it also made all those things way more prevalent because you could focus on, like, you could just you know put defenses in that, and then you'd be good for everything. And same, I think, with offenses as well. They used roughly the same rules, regardless of whether you were tripping or grappling or whatever. So it made it so that you didn't have to specialize in one; that you could kind of be good at all of them, which is kind of decent. But yeah, I remember that being a thing. That one was one that really did throw me a lot, especially seeing as my group used it a lot, and that was not something I was used to. I had all this defense, but I had terrible CMB, and that just made it really hard for me to do anything. So definitely something that I struggled with making the switch. Um, yeah, it was fun for the most part, though. There are things I liked and things I didn't. I think a lot of it just came down to the group, though. They're just house rules. The classes are fun in 3.5. Yeah, the classes are like there's so many fun classes in 3.5. Even like some of the not so good classes have a lot of good flavor to them. Like Monk. Monk is so much fun to play. It's not good, but it's really fun to play because it gets just so many cool things. Druid's also another one that I really enjoy playing. That one's actually extremely good, though, especially like out of the box. Like, if you're new, Druid's so good. Um, it just is. Uh, it's definitely not one of the most beginner friendly, though. Uh, Wizard's probably the worst in terms of beginner friendly though, because if you want to be a wizard, it's like, okay, what spells do you want to know? Okay, well, now that you know what spells you want to know, which of those spells do you want to have prepared? It's like, what? I thought I just finished spells. Nope, you're halfway done. You got a whole other section because you have to know, you have to figure out your spells known and your spells prepared, which they're like the one class in core that you have to do both on, which that's one of the hardest things to do is spells. Plus, you also have to do feats on top of that. So if you want to play a wizard, you got to do everything. You got to get gear and you got to do skills and feats and spells and then spells again. It's a whole thing for noobs. Go warlock. Pew pew. That's not a bad one. Fighters okay because then you just have to worry about feats. Monk's actually decent for noobs or for new players just because there's not a whole lot to pick, especially at early levels. You don't even have to pick gear. Like you have almost no money for starting gear, so you're looking at some crappy weapon and probably not even armor, or almost certainly not armor because monks generally don't wear armor at all. So yeah, you're looking at like maybe a stick and some food, and yeah, maybe a sling. I feel druid will be tough as a noob, so I'm preparing as much as possible. Yeah, druid is one of the harder ones. It's not as hard as wizard, but that's a very high bar. Like wizard's a really hard one to play as a new player. Druid, one of the nice things with druid, especially if you're starting at level 1, is they don't get that much at level 1. Druids, they like, because you don't get wild shape at level 1. You don't get that till level 5. So you have 4 levels where one of your main class features you just don't have. So that gives you some time to get used to all the other class features you have, like spells and your animal companion and all sorts of other stuff. So the druid does do a decent job of giving you time to kind of learn the class before you start really getting everything. And wild shape gets nuts too, because there's just so many things that go on with that. So yeah, it's not as bad as wizard. Wizards, just because you have to have 2 different spell lists, both your prepared spells and your spells known. So you have to be like, all right, these are the spells that are in my spell book. These are the ones that I can prepare. And these are the ones that I actually chose to prepare for today. And I got to like mark those off. And, a lot of the time wizards will just prepare the same spells every day. Same with, most prepared casters, like all the divine casters that are prepared, which is like all of them. They'll typically prepare the same stuff every day unless something comes up or they decide to change things, because it's just a lot of work changing your prepared spells constantly. So yeah, I'm looking at binders on Amazon. Nice. Yeah, binders can be really helpful for spell books. You may have seen some in my shorts. Like I have several binders behind me on that bookshelf. Very, very useful. All of those are for Dungeons and Dragons too. I think all of them. One of them might be something else, but almost all of those are D&D related. So yeah. Favorite souls spontaneous. Yeah, that's true. Not all are prepared, but most divine casters are. Favorite soul's a weird one, and yes, it is spontaneous. So you are correct on that. And then there's what is it? What's the other one in complete divine that's also sort of spontaneous? Well, it is spontaneous, but it's weird. It's a druid type one. Spirit shaman. There we go. Spirit shaman's also spontaneous as well, but it's kind of weird. Shijunja. No, that one's weird. That one's not even that good. Spirit shaman can be really good. It is spontaneous because it has it's just you get to pick your list every day. It's a weird combination because you effectively, like a druid, have access to all the spells, but every day you have to pick which ones you get for that day, which is a very limited list. And then you're able to spontaneously cast those throughout the day, which is weird. And because of how it works, like you can put meta magic feats on them ahead of time, or you have to put meta magic feats on ahead of time. But because of that, you don't have the switch to full round casting action because the meta magic feats were chosen ahead of time, like when you prepared them. Like you picked your spells at the start of the day to be an empowered an empowered fireball, or I guess probably not. No, I think fireball's druid as well, but yeah, you'd make it empowered like a wizard would. It's a weird one. Spirit Shaman's such a weird casting class. It's like its own deal. It's not like anything else in the game, but it's a cool one. The big downside is you have a very limited list on what you're able to cast at any given time because it's their spells retrieved list is about half that of a sorcerer's spells known. So yeah, it's just they can change them up freely every day, and they also apply the meta magic feats at the time of retrieval. So it's a really weird one, but it can be pretty nice. It's definitely one I've looked into a decent amount, but it's also similar to Favorite Soul in that it has the split stat. So it's both charisma and wisdom casting, and the exact opposite of Favorite Soul, actually. I can't remember which one does which, but I know one of them uses wisdom for your save DCs, and the other one for, and then charisma for bonus spells, and then the other one goes the other way around. I can't remember which one's which, but yeah. It's problematic having to keep two stats up. Although which one you go with kind of depend. Which one's better depends a little bit. If you happen to be a wizard, or if you happen to be like a whatchamajigger, I'm getting distracted. But anywho, yeah, they're pretty good. But yeah, if you happen to have a high wisdom, okay, let me think my thoughts, brain work. So if you want to make the stat that's for bonus spells, then you wouldn't want to have a high save, and then you'd pick a bunch of spells that don't really have spell save DCs, and you could just focus on just knowing more spells and all that, and that works. Or you could go the other route and not really worry so much about how many bonus spells you get, but worry a lot more about having a high save DC and pick spells that have the DCs, which are often more potent spells. Ones that don't have spell save DCs aren't as good, but the lack of a spell save DC is actually kind of huge. It makes it, easier to hit with or easier to affect things. Although, I mean, there's also ones that don't have save DCs because they require attack rolls. So you could also go that route and, focus on, your dexterity and, or even potentially your strength and, do it that way to get extra, make it so that your attack rolls are higher and you're able to hit. So that's kind of a cool thing. That's definitely an option of something you can do. But yeah, that's the problem with the mixed stats is you can't just dump everything into one stat or the mixed stat casters. You can't just dump everything into one stat and get all the benefits because you're only going to get some of them, which is problematic. Typically, like, especially if you want to be really good at high levels, you're going to be dumping everything into one stat. So, by 20th level, that's a +5 that you can add to one of your abilities, which is huge. So, yeah. And then, you're probably also going to be getting, a magic item that'll give you a +6 bonus to your best stat, as well as maybe to some other stats. And you'll probably read the book that gives you a +5 permanent bonus to one of your abilities. As well as maybe you'll get some of the weaker ones to buff some of your other stuff. Odds are you'll run into a few of these books along your travels as well. So, normally I wouldn't recommend buying anything other than the +5s. for a permanent character. But if you happen to get one of the books, might as well read it. Power word stun for the win. No saving throw. Power word stun isn't bad. It's actually kind of good. The problem with the power word spells, is that they require that they only work on things with low HP. So that's a bit of an issue there. But yeah, if they have power word stuns is relatively high. I think it's like 250 for it to be able to do anything. And even getting one round of stun is really good. So yeah, although there's lots of things that are immune to stun, which is problematic. It makes power word stun way less because of just how easy getting stun immunity is. It also makes monks and their stunning fists so much less good. I really think that giving monks something that would allow them to, bypass stun immunity would be massive into making them actually somewhat viable. All my stats are odd numbered. Really? Yikes. That's not good. You generally do not want odd numbered stats. Odd numbered stats are bad in that you get no benefit from that last point. So, yeah, like there's no real difference between a 12 and a 13. There's no difference between a 15 and a 16. Oh, not 15 and 16, a 16 and 17 or 15 and 14. Like there's no real difference between them. You want the even numbers because they're just, as good. Like you're wasting points having a lot of odd numbers. So yeah, you don't want the odd numbers. The one advantage of odd numbers is every single feat, or really anything that requires you to have certain strength or certain dex or charisma or whatever it might be, it's always an odd number. And that is simply because odd numbers have no value aside from that. So all the feats require an odd number in order to actually give some purpose to odd numbers. That in strength, carrying capacity, odd numbers do matter. But aside from weird random stuff like carrying capacity, it's mostly just feats requirements. So yeah, odd numbers not too useful. I'll be evening them up as I level up. That's smart. You don't need to even all of them up, but I would definitely even up your main ones, especially as a druid. You're going to want to focus on your wisdom, your charisma, maybe your constitution's always important for like anybody. Honestly, con's probably your second most important. Strength or dex can be really good, but wisdom 100%. You're going to want to dump heavy into wisdom. Is con bonus to HP retroactive? Yes it is. And that also goes for if you get con drain. So if you get an ability damage that hurts your constitution, that's going to lower your maximum HP, which also because it's wounds based, it lowers your current HP. So it'll lower your maximum and your current. But yes, con is retroactive. So by upping constitution, you will get more health for every hit dice you are. So if you go from an odd number to an even number con, you'll gain HP equal to your level. So yeah, I know int is not for skills. That is true because with skills, you're learning them as you go. And when you were weaker, when you were less smart, you didn't, when you were weaker, you weren't as smart. So you weren't able to learn those skills as much. And it's not that now that you got smarter, you suddenly went back in time and, had more time to learn stuff. No, like now you can learn faster, but you're not going to retroactively learn them. So I'll up that one first. Yeah. Int first. I mean, if you're going to up int, but int is a decent dump. Int's actually probably, it's one of your best dump stats as a druid, to be honest. Int's probably your best dump stat. And then either strength or dexterity, depending on what kind of druid you're going to be. If you want to be a druid that's, gets up close and personal a lot, then you're going to want strength to be decent and dump dex probably. Or maybe don't dump it too hard, but you don't want to go too heavy on it. Or if you want to be a ranged druid, fights from a distance, dexterity, and then you can probably dump strength. But yeah, int is one of the better dump stats. It's really not that useful for a druid other than for skills, which I mean, skills are helpful. Druids are one of the better skill monkeys out there. But I mean, they're not the best by any stretch of the imagination, but they're pretty good at skills. They get a lot of the more useful ones, and I think they get what 4 or 6 per plus int per level, so it's not bad. It's definitely one of the better ones, but far from the best. Definitely not the worst. That goes to like fighter. Fighters don't even get skills. It's so rough being a fighter. They don't even get good skills. But yeah, druids are a pain in Ebron. Some are crazy. Yeah, druids really can be. They're one of the best classes out there. I mean, I have a whole video about druids are OP. Like, they're OP, man. There's just a really good class. You know, the big downside to druid though is even though they get a lot of support, they can't fully utilize the support like other classes can. Like a wizard, when they take PRCs, they don't lose a whole lot taking them. Whereas same with a cleric or a sorcerer or whatever. But druids are going to lose something important if they take a PRC every time. I don't think there's a single druid PRC prestige class that gives you the full casting, full advancement of your wild shape, and full advancement of your animal companion. I'm almost positive there's not a single prestige class that gives all of that. And you're going to want that as a druid. Those are all really nice class features that you would really want to keep advancing. There's some that'll give, 2 of those, but there's nothing that gives all 3. So yeah, druids are going to lose something taking any prestige class. And it really just depends on, and sometimes it's worth it depending on what you're going for, but it depends on what you're going for. Like, you have to make sacrifices to take prestige classes as a druid. Whereas with cleric and and sorcerer and wizard, like wizard takes almost no sacrifices. Yeah, they lose their feet every 5th level. Not that big a deal. Clerics are going to usually, depending on which prestige class they take, not advance their turn undead, but that's a weak class feature anyways. It's only good. It's best used for trading out for other things, and you making it get stronger doesn't affect its ability to trade things out. So you still have just as many uses. So yeah, using devotions and divine meta magic, it's fine if you're, effectively only a 6th level cleric. That's not really a big deal, even though you're 20th level. You know what I mean? Godzilla. What do you mean? Talking about like some sort of mixture of Call of Duty and Godzilla? Confused. Watch them all. Spells 1 through 3 was useful. Glad to hear that. I'll probably be making 6 through 9 at some point. I also had a 4 through 6. Or no, it would be 7 through 9. Cleric or druids are OP. Yeah, druids, clerics can be OP. The thing with clerics is they really need more support outside of core than druids do. To be able to trade out their turn undead, that makes them way, way better. That and access to more domains, that can make them a lot better with plus devotions and so many more things that you can do with cleric. And if you have the supplement books, core only, not as much. Some say anyway. Yeah, 100%. Like, if you're using supplements, clerics can be amazing, which I prefer to use supplements. So yeah, clerics are just really good. Just so many different options. Yeah. But yeah, that's your cleric, and the druid. There, I don't know. Wizard's also super, super good. Some of the best spells in the game. Some people say it's the best class in the game. I can't remember what you guys voted for that one. I got the paper right here. What did you guys pick for? What did you guys pick as the strongest? I think it was Wizard. Yeah, I think Wizard won hands down. Could be wrong. This paper, I don't think I had the final results, but yeah, I thought Druid would win for sure, but it didn't. I was really surprised by that. Um, yeah, let me. But yeah, sounds legit. That's 3.5 for you. Oh yeah, 100%. 3.5 is like it's an amazing system. I love the game like so much. It's such a fun game, and yeah, D&D 3.5. And players argue all the time about so many different things because a lot of it comes down to the level of optimization. So people who do like extreme power gaming, they're going to have wildly different opinions than people who don't. And also it also comes down to how much of a stickler you are for a lot of the rules with spell casting, with carrying all the components around. That can be a huge pain in the butt. Like I personally, just for convenience sake, go with the plan of all right, if you want to use something that has a costly material component, you're going to have to spend that, of course. But I'm going to say, all right, you have basically anything that's not costly on hand because you have the book. And if you want to use something that's costly, we'll just say you use gold worth it, and I'll just make them, erase some gold right then and there. I don't make them like prepare all their costly material components ahead of time, just because that's just a huge pain in the butt. Like I don't know, it just really is. So I get comments all the time saying that like no casters aren't that good because of that. And I'm like, well, okay, fair, but if you want to nitpick and get into all that, yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I just find it slows the game down a lot having to deal with all that. Modern systems are more balanced, but one can take that too far. That's 100%. Although even in 5e, Magic's overpowered. Like even in 5e, where they balanced it a lot, Magic's still overpowered, and martial stuff just doesn't have the same capabilities. And a lot of that just comes down to the fact that you know it's just not a thing. You just don't have as many options. Like you can duplicate most martial feats with magic. So yeah, there's a lot of magic feats that there's no way you can duplicate with martial skills. Like how is a fighter going to duplicate fireball? How is he going to duplicate turn earth to mud? Like what? How would he do that? Like at least not in anywhere near the amount of time that it would take for a wizard to do that or a druid. Yeah, I could see a fighter duplicating the effects of turn earth to mud. You know, goes to town, buys a shovel, spends a few hours, tilling up the dirt. Uh, grabs some buckets of water, hauls them to the spot to throw them on the dirt that's been tilled up. Okay, yeah, you just turned earth to mud, but that's a lot of work and time and energy. Whereas a caster could do that much more quickly. Um, and even in conjunction, like he could use create water to speed up the process of putting water on things. So yeah, magic just makes everything easier. Book of Nine Swords. Oh, yeah, Tome of Battle. Yeah, that's a really good one. That is a really, really good book. It's not one I have yet, but it is high on my list of books that I would like to have. So yeah, um, yeah, definitely something. I've considered. I don't know how popular it'd be because I know like some people have like wish lists and stuff. I've considered going on and like just getting like just like making an Amazon wish list with like all the D&D books I don't have, and then just like posting it to like Discord or something. I don't know. I don't know if that would get anything. Like, but at the same time, like part of why I don't want to do that is, one, I'm pretty small and I don't expect any support from anybody. And two, like, at this point, like, I'm trying to scratch out a living, so that comes first before anything, as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah. But it is a good book, and it is definitely on my list of books to get. I'll probably try and get it for Christmas. It's probably going to be on my Christmas list from my folks and that. Yeah, pimp your fighter without nerfing the casters. Exactly. The problem with it is that they also came out with equally good supplement books for the casters. You know, complete mage, complete arcane, complete divine. There's a ton of other ones as well. So yeah, that takes away a lot of the buffing that Tome of Battle did. But it still gives the Tome of Battle some really nice features. But well, it still gives fighter classes better features, or at least your martial classes. But the one big issue with it is it made things like the fighter and the barbarian and the monk, it made them somewhat obsolete because you can just take the Tome of Battle stuff and that's just better. Like that's that's one problem with it, is it did sort of make the already existing martial classes more obsolete. So that's a bit of a problem, especially things like the samurai, like samurai, poor samurai. It's such a cool class, but so underpowered that it's completely unusable. Like you're better off just going fighter than taking samurai, because most of the things that you can get with samurai you can get with feats, and fighter gets those, and you get more feats on top of that, and a couple of class features. Not really worth the loss of feats for the most part. So poor samurai. Whereas then you have like other really amazing classes like the archivist, freaking archivist. That thing is so good. Being able to use like the thing that really make, well, like there's two things that make archivists good. One, the fact that they have access to both the cleric and the druid spell list. That's really nice. They're primarily clerics, but getting access to the druid with scrolls as well is really big. And on top of that, with scrolls, they can also get paladin and ranger spells, and they get them at the same levels, which fourth level paladin and ranger spells are not equivalent to fourth level cleric and druid spells. They are better. They're just straight up better. So yeah, having access to them at same level, that's actually a little bit broken. Yeah, new and improved electricity candle makers cry, or electricity made candle makers cry. Yeah, 100%. Like, it's advancement, but at the same time, we're talking about advancement within the system, and I don't know, making old classes irrelevant just kind of isn't cool. The caster classes, they stay pretty dang relevant, mostly because they get a lot more support, which honestly is something that I really think they need to do some like house rules to retcon a lot of that. It's something that I might look into coming up with some house rules on that at some point. One of the main things I would probably do if I was going to do that in terms of support would, like, the first thing I would do is I would change up favored class in order to change it to favored classes, and give each race like 3 or 4 different favored classes that like they can choose from. Like, they can be like, all right, well, like humans is any, whereas like you could say like the dwarf could be a fighter, or it could be, pick a couple of other ones. I don't know what else I'd give the dwarf, but you pick like a few different ones and be like, all right, any of those can be your favorite class. Just like the human can be any of anything, yours can be any of a certain list. Sort of like with speak language, like humans bonus language list is all, whereas other ones have varied lists. I think half elf is also all, but similar to that. That'd be the first thing I would do to make it so that, and I would include like all the classes that aren't in the player's handbook. So spirit shaman and all those things. So all of those, so every race would have more, and like ninja and scout, you know, yeah. So halfling might end up with like ninja and scout or a few other things. So, and I try and make them balanced to keep them more or less the same numbers. Yeah. Uh, even fighters could use maneuvers. Yeah, fighters could, but they'd have to multi-class, because the cool thing about maneuvers is levels that weren't not manifesting, weren't I'm forgetting the word, but levels that you didn't gain just a feat tax. Uh, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I guess there were some combat maneuvers feats that they could take. So yeah, those did exist, and there were some decent ones in there too. A lot of them were in Complete Warrior, which, you know, is probably one of the most broken splat books, just because it was early and they didn't really fully understand what they were doing yet. A lot less play testing. I think it may have even been the first splat book. Maybe not. It was up there though, because I know things like Book of Exalted Deeds and the Fiendish Codexes were pretty early on as well. So I know that's a thing. In fact, Book of Vile Darkness is actually 3.0, even though it's the counterpart to Book of Exalted Deeds, and also heavily referenced by the Fiendish Codexes. Like the Fiendish Codexes are very much supplements to the Book of Vile Darkness. So yeah, that's Book of Vile Darkness is a weird one. It's also one of the more explicit books out there. So yeah, like mine has like a little mature rating on the book itself, which is kind of crazy. Which I get. Like some of the themes in that are pretty nuts, like torture and whatnot. So yeah, it's a fun book. But yeah, and I definitely will be covering that at some point. Those might be interesting ones to cover. I might start getting some age restrictions once I start doing those. I typically don't get those. Like I have like one video that's like in terms of demonetization, like I have one video that's demonetized, and that's like whatever. That's not even a popular one. It's not even a Dungeons and Dragons one. That was back when this channel was only like a third of the videos I made were D&D. Not like now when that's like basically the only thing I do. But yeah, I might have to. That's something I might deal with more. But it is what it is. Yeah, but we'll deal with that when we get to it. But for now, we got plenty of other content to cover before we get to that stuff. So yeah, and I mean, there's worse books than that out there in terms of splat books. Yeah, but yeah, we're getting close to the end of stream at this point. We got about 2 minutes left. Thank you everyone for showing up. Oh, there goes my TV. I see that turning off in the background. Yeah, thank you, Kobanizer and Slither and who else was hanging out, and Snagwolf. And we had Mamek show up for a little bit. So thank you to everyone who showed up. It's definitely cool hanging out with everybody. We'll be leaving in like a second. If you haven't already, there's some links to my Discord as well as to my Twitch. Haven't streamed in a while on Twitch, but if you're interested in RPGs, Nintendo games, stuff like that, definitely follow over there. I'll start streaming there again at some point, probably some Pokemon Scarlet. Yeah, join the Discord and get your roles in there to hang out more and chat, and yeah, just talk some D&D, maybe help me with my latest build, which is going to be that speed build. Definitely one I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more on. So yeah. But if you haven't, if you haven't already, like the stream, that definitely helps it get seen a little bit more. So when people watch the VOD of it, once I end stream, that'll go live immediately. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. We're at 1,090 subscribers. That's absolutely insane. Once we hit 2,000, we're going to do even more of these live streams. And I'll be back next week doing another one of these live streams. Same time, Saturday, hopefully noon, but there's a decent chance it'll run late again. But yeah, anyways, as always, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you.